Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Life podcast. I am joined by my dear friend Chantal, and I'm going to get Chantal to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so my name is Chantal Philippe. No, my name's Chantal, and I am an entrepreneur in the city of Toronto, although we do things internationally. But I say that in the sense that I'm more than that. We were just talking about maybe once upon a time I would have only identified as Chantal, the interior designer. But now, as it stands today, I am Chantal, the partner to a loving man named Donnie. I am the dog mom of Simba. I am an aunt to many nephews and nieces. I am somebody who loves nature. I adore my job, although it doesn't define me. I love my interior design career, and um, I think that's it. I think that's as many as I can name.
Um, I love, as you were saying that, I was just thinking in my head that you've come such a long way. Because I think when I first met you, you would have been like, my job, this is me, and that's all I do. And it's such a clear reflection of, I think, how people expand their world as well, right? And it and not only just the nervous system part, but also just who you are as a person, because I think in the entrepreneurial world, everybody is so focused on the growth of their business and they forget about everything else. And I remember one of the first things that I ever told you when we started our very first personal training session was, God forbid something happened to you physically or mentally, you lose everything you have. Who are you
Yeah.
without what you've built? And then I think you didn't have an answer
No.
for that.
There was no who am I outside of what I built. And it's interesting that you say that, because even in you repeating that, I always carried this fear of what if I break my arm or what if I fall ill, that it almost perpetuated the story of needing to do more
Yeah.
in case something went wrong
Yeah.
without knowing it that it did. Like there was a lingering thought. And I think it goes back to where was the fear of this not being my identity coming from? And then again, you're just thinking these thoughts that keep you in the vicious cycle of owning that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Where do you think it came from?
My attachment to my career, like that being my identity.
Or just in terms of, because you have such amazing work ethic and how you treat clients, how you treat the people around you, how you see your work, the you have such integrity. And I was saying this to Matt actually the other day, and I don't even remember how the question came up, and something about whether, because I think we're talking about like lying or people like telling things that are not true. And then I was like, honestly, two people that I actually, I would say three, you are one of the three people in this world. If you say anything, I will not question you. And it's so rare for me because I think everybody lies. But you're one of those people who hold such high standards for yourself, and the level of integrity you have and the discipline you have is honestly next level. And it's such a and your work and your business is such a reflection of that. And of course that comes at a cost, of course.
Yeah.
So where did all of that come from?
I'm a Taurus.
Blame it on the stars.
Seriously. I will say that it's interesting as we get older and we realize when you're on the other side of the stick, how much your actions are reflected to those who I don't want to say look up to you, but those who are surrounded by you. And I say that whether it be my nephews or nieces, or, when you're around a kid and they mimic the things you do, I think that it goes back to the people you were surrounding while you were surrounded by when you were young. And even when you say you're having a conversation with Matt about, my level of honesty,
Mhm.
it's, and it's how you don't come across that often, but it's so nice when you do find somebody that you respect that much. And I've said that to you, like, I respect you so much that it's such a breath of fresh air to have somebody around you like that, even though they're few and far in between sometimes,
Mhm.
but how it starts to perpetuate. And that's where I'm saying you are the company you keep. So full circle, when I say that, when I was growing up, my dad, yes, worked a lot. My uncles, everyone, they were to some degree entrepreneurs and heavy working men. Um, but on the flip side of that, my mom always had 2 or 3 jobs.
Mm.
If it wasn't in the day, it was the night, it was the weekends, and that was circumstantial for her because she was just trying to provide for us. But her actions, and I would never say this in a negative way, but her actions definitely were reflected onto us, and I don't think I ever knew differently,
Mhm.
except for that you wake up and you go to work.
Right.
There wasn't like, yes, we had fun times, I'm never saying that we didn't have fun times, but it wasn't like, once a year we go on like 2-week family vacations,
Right.
and that was the time where we were all together and we were traveling, and like little things like that, that when you start to see how other families maybe lived, I realize now that that wasn't our reality. I love and adore my upbringing, and I have nothing but gratitude for it. Um, but when you say, "Where is this derived from?" It's me mimicking what I was surrounded by,
Yeah.
and then having to try to, like, elbow my way out of the thought of that being the only reality is kinda like what I'm working through now.
Right.
Mhm.
And up till what point did you realize that is not the only reality or the only option you can live your life?
Um, I feel like I've always had tough relationships, whether it be family, partners, friends, um, around me prioritizing work over any of those scenarios. And so when you think about how long has it been and where is the point in time where I started to realize, I think I've always known it.
Mm.
I've always known it was a problem, but it's like I'm reading, The Body Keeps the Score, and the thing that's hitting me the most, or that I'm empathizing the most with when reading that book, is that when people have trauma, they tend to go back to the trauma as a security blanket. So, like, as an outsider, I would have said, like, "Why is that person going back? Or why do they keep doing the same harmful things to themselves?" And I'm realizing now that it's just a cycle that I'm in, and I would have fought against somebody who told me otherwise in my earlier years,
Yeah.
almost in a sense of like, don't tell me what I should and shouldn't do, and this is what I want to do, and I was standing very strong in it. Um, so, you go through all of your 20s, pretty much all of your 30s, and then I think reflectively, like if I look back, there was always conflict between me, my work, and those who surrounded me. And then COVID happened, and it was almost like a forceful relief, and thankfully, I was in a position where, A, my business was still doing well because we were in an economy where everybody wanted to be at home
Right.
and doing something with their home. So I didn't have to worry about what I was gonna do for my company, and somebody was telling you had to stay home and do nothing,
Yeah.
I had never experienced that ever. And if I did previous to that, I would have been uncomfortable thinking the rest of the world was running forward and I was just sitting here
Totally.
drinking a cup of tea and
Yeah.
doing nothing, whatever that thing was that I was doing. So there was like FOMO, fear of missing out prior to that or whatever. But then it was like you get to do nothing and experience what that actually felt like,
Mm.
and it actually felt magical. It's like, "Oh, this feels so nice. This feels" and I also realized that as much as I love my business, I was in the back of my mind looking for an exit to some degree. Like, there was always, like, I need to get away, or I need to turn my phone off, or I need to pause for a second, but I think it's just because of, like, the weight of it all just piling, and so but I was never doing not necessarily I was never doing the legit break or the intentional setback, and so when, that happened, I started to realize, and then, I actually ended up registering for, yoga teacher training, which was something I had always wanted to do. Scared the shit out of me. I was worried about, um and I never wanted to be a teacher either. I just wanted to dive so deep into it that, I understood it a little bit better, and I think that those 2 elements, COVID and taking a yoga teacher training, really and very specifically with the teacher that I did teach with, I think that could have gone differently had it not been with, shout out to Mula Yoga, Hannah. If it had not been very intentionally with her, I think it could have gone differently, but it was a very immersive, intentional training, and it brought out a lot of things that were inside of me that needed to come out. So those 2 were the catapult of me realizing, long story short.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I find, COVID was almost the catalyst for so many people
Yeah.
when it comes to slowing down and reassessing almost life in general and what they're doing with their life or their spouses or their partners that
Yeah.
they were with.
There's a big upturn, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it was almost this time of, I mean, for lack of a better word, like death and rebirth
Mhm.
for a lot of things, and for you, as you realize, I know yoga is not as big of a part of your life right now as you would like it to be, but
Yeah.
I know it's become such a tool for you to always go back to heal your heart and your body and your soul.
Absolutely. And I had been doing yoga for so long prior to that
Mhm.
training, was that I just went to the training. And in being reflective over COVID, I realized how nourishing it was. And it was almost like when you think about it afterwards, my body was looking for something to help soothe it.
Mhm.
And it landed me in that direction or whatever because I do remember I would always go to hot yoga and cry, and because you're sweating so much, nobody would know that you're crying kind of thing,
Yeah,
without having had known why, or
yeah,
understood what was happening. So to then dive in and really, start to understand your body, how it operates, and why these emotions might come up, and how to also pinpoint locations in your body to, create more or less awareness around things, was really beneficial for me specifically. Yeah.
yeah. I went to a yoga class, actually, I didn't tell you this, but I went on Wednesday night
Mhm.
and, we were in my gosh, the
Eagle arms?
the eagle arms with the crescent pose,
Yeah,
and it's a heart opener, right? And I just started crying,
yeah.
and luckily it was a dark room, and then towards the end, I was crying too, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice." But then the room was so hot, and I was like, "I don't know if my body's just having a really hard time, it just wants to release some
Everything.
water right
Yeah,
now."
yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely a release. Anyways, I find
yeah,
yoga in general, but
same.
so yeah, so that was, I think, at the pivotal point where then I started to have to, like, pay attention a little bit more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How in terms of how everything was before, what and you said there was always this misalignment you felt between how everyone else is working around you and how you were actually working versus how you actually you were feeling inside. There was that misalignment.
Mhm.
What did that feel like, and how much were you working before that?
I don't know how to it's like this feeling of I almost wanna describe it as, like, a kid having a temper tantrum.
Okay.
Like, you don't wanna be here. This is the last place on earth you wanna be, but there was just so much, um, like, being a stubborn Taurus or whatever that I am, it's like there was no way that I was gonna follow what my body was saying.
Right.
My head was like the angry dad saying, like, "You're gonna sit here and you're gonna do exactly what you
Mhm.
said you're gonna do," and then your whole body is just like, "But I don't want to." You know, like, "Dad, I just don't" like, I say that in, like, your father forcing you to finish your dinner,
Yeah.
and you're like, "I'm full. I'm
Yeah.
literally full, and I can't eat one more thing," and they still, make you eat. Um, that would be the way that I would describe it. Like, I will sit here and I will be the most, almost like sad on the inside, but my brain just takes over the emotional part of it and says, "Nope, you have to do it."
Right.
I just remember, like, countless hours being at whatever office that I was working at the time, because they varied, but and being like, "It just is what it is. It is what it is."
Yeah.
And then one of a close friend of mine, she was also a yoga instructor, and she introduced me to Abraham Hicks. And Abraham Hicks's concept and theory is a lot around, like, if you're not sure what to do, take a nap, first of all. If you don't know what to do, take a nap because it's just not the frame of mind you wanna be making a decision on, and that everything you do in life should be geared towards happiness. So when I started reading about, like, "Really? My god, that's"
What is happiness?
Yeah. I'm like, I've been doing this all wrong." It allowed me to be able to pause for a second and say, "Is this running in the direction of my happiness?" And then I could I don't wanna say very easily, more easily distinguish between something that felt intentionally good and something that felt intentionally wrong for me,
Mhm.
whether my mind said it or not. And then I think that, um, it's just over time getting easier to decipher.
Right.
What I was gonna say as well is over time and through work with you, I think one of the bigger components that I've been aware of and practicing is not only when you make that decision in that very moment, you say, like, "This doesn't make me happy and I need to move in a different direction," being hyper aware of I don't even want to use the word repercussions because
Mhm.
it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Being aware of the circumstances that arise because you made a decision out of a happiness driven narrative and how everything tends to fall in line so much more smoothly moving in that direction versus before I would have stuck with, you stay here, you do what you do, but then you end up continually doing the same thing and not almost experiencing the magic of life.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
if you do that one thing, how does that flow into something else and how does the universe work in your favor because you made that choice,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think, what you're saying with the happiness thing is, I know this sounds so cliche, but every conversation I feel like goes back to that basic concept of, are you choosing it from a place of love, or are you choosing it from a place of fear?
Yeah.
And yes, you can work a gazillion hours and you never sleep, and that can be from a place of love because, let's say, you need to work for your child,
Yeah.
like, because your child is sick and you need to provide for your child,
Yeah.
then you're doing it because I love my child so much that I want to provide for him or her.
Yeah.
So versus, like, if I don't work, then, I'm gonna get beaten, where I'm not worthy. Those are two very different places
Absolutely.
from in terms of where you're coming from. with the output.
Yep.
And then the results are going to be very different as well. And typically, when people work from a place of fear, it's whether or not people believe energetics, it comes off as maybe less creative, less innovative, and less, thought through. Quality is a lot lower. And I know with, how the work you do with clients, and you and I spoke about this a long time ago, is what makes you stand apart is the amount of time you put into
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes of creating something for clients. And that's not something a lot of, designers, but people in every industry
I was gonna
do,
say regardless, yeah.
right? It's because I mean, it goes again with a quote saying, would you still do what you do if nobody was watching?
Mm.
Or would you still do the good deeds you do if nobody knows you've done it? And I think you do it from a place of love with with design because you love it so much. Um, but in terms of, I guess, progression of your career, what made you choose to go into opening up your own business
Hmm.
and essentially choosing this route of never ending work hours?
Why did I do that? Is the trauma me or the um hmm. It's interesting because even when I was thinking about coming here, I was gonna say I feel like when you say cliche or it's like yes, a lot of the verbiage and stuff we might use is cliche, but it's when you're experiencing it,
Yeah.
you want to say it
Yeah.
versus when you're listening it to it on the other side and you're not experiencing, you're like, oh, universe is working out for you, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you're experiencing it, you're like, oh, it's cliche to say, but the universe had a plan for me
Yes.
because to be honest, I was in a relationship that ended. And at that point, I felt that everybody around me, when I was working for somebody else, I just felt that everybody around me, including the partner that we had just broken up, was constantly telling me how I was supposed to feel and how I was supposed to act.
Mm.
That I felt trapped in these like circumstances that I had created for myself while being passive and a yes person and overworked and tired, which also, probably contributed to my frustration around it all. Um, and so I actually didn't know that I want to say I knew that I was going to go into a business partnership, but it wasn't my ultimate plan. Although if you talked to me when I was in high school, I might have always said that I was going to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I think subliminally it was inside of me somewhere in that exact moment when I made the decision, was I like, this is the day that I'm going to do
Yeah.
all of the things that I said I was going to do in my life? No, I was on a rampage and I was just like, screw the world. I don't care what happens to me. I'll live in the forest if I have to or whatever.
Yeah.
So I ended up quitting, but I had somebody else approach me saying, let's do this together in terms of partnership. So to be completely honest, I don't think I would have had the balls to do it given the state that I was in that very moment, had somebody else not said like, I'll be your support system and we'll figure this out together.
Mm.
Ultimately, it led me to realize my capabilities. And then interestingly enough, it was the catapult, which then provided me the confidence to say I could do it on my own.
Right.
So after, doing it with a business partner for a while, and it's interesting as well when I say this out loud because I met my partner and he gave me the confidence
Yeah.
to go out on my own. And so I'm saying this out loud as we talk, but it's interesting that I didn't have it enough in myself. Maybe to some degree I did because I did it,
Yeah.
but it did require an outsider to be the push behind it. So yes, I might have always had it in the back of my mind, but I don't think I had the self-confidence enough to do it. And I think that that's also something that I'm realizing in these next steps of my life or whatever, is like, where is that lack of confidence coming from? And how do you take back the ownership of deciding that, I can do all of these things. Um, but what a beautiful thing to have had these people in my life to carry me there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Mhm.
I appreciate you acknowledge other people in the journey.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people's narrative is like, I've done this, I went through this,
Mhm.
so I got myself out of this. And we all, with everybody's journey, good or bad, it takes a village.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it also takes courage from you.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's the Taurus in me who just like eventually is like, oh, like whatever. But what I am trying to reflect on and work on now is not getting to that point of having to be like, screw all you guys, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that that's me not taking ownership of my emotions, expressing how I feel, not, setting boundaries with people, that I end up getting to this point where I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
That I started to realize that, I forget who I was talking to, but I started to realize that I have 5-year cycles.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about that.
Right?
Yes.
So when, like, I don't want to feel like in 5 years, every time I try to commit to something, that I'm like, "Ugh, like, I
Yeah.
can't do it anymore." Instead, how can I, like, take back the ownership in, like, controlling the environments that don't get me to a point where I just wanna walk away? And opposite to that, embracing, because I think I was getting to that point because I was constantly working all the time. So,
Yeah.
of course, I'm tired, frustrated, exhausted. There's no, like, joie de vivre when you're constantly doing the same thing every day. So, how do I reframe my life experiences as well so that I don't feel, again, I guess it's like burnout to some degree, where and in thinking about it, it's crazy how much I am soaking in the moments that do nourish me. Like, they feel, like, ultra intense now that I'm intentionally being like, "Oh, I need a little bit of both. I
Right.
need work and life. I need work and love. I need laugh. I need play. I need outdoors. I need all of these little things." But then it's almost like, I don't know what the analogy would be, but I'm thinking like a baby walking out for the first time, where you're like, oh, like seeing everything for the first time and just love. And I don't want to say I didn't have a life, but if I was doing it, it was because, oh, somebody invited me somewhere. It's just another thing on my list of things that I have to do, versus saying like, I love theater and I'm going to go sit at a play by myself and just soak in how much I love music or arts, go to an art gallery on my own. And when I do go now, I feel so overjoyed because it's a choice that I'm making for myself to feed my soul, versus, like I said, maybe in the past I would have been doing it for other reasons.
Right.
Mhm.
Or putting it off and not going out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With the amount of stress you're carrying on your shoulders and the the some of the tendencies which, we'll get into,
Mhm.
how did you find, because you didn't start with a team of how many girls do you have? 5 right now on your team?
Yes. Yeah.
So you didn't start with a team of 5. How did you find that scaling process in terms of expanding the business and bring more people onto your team and having to adjust your work style, how you approach the amount of work you do to accommodate and be able to operate with now a 6 people team, including yourself?
I actually love that I am aware enough to view the process, like, be able to step out of the concept as a whole, starting a business, having nobody, getting a few people on, moving offices, growing, getting a few more people, somebody leaves, you have to look for others, all of that stuff. I love that I'm aware enough to step out of the minutia of it and see it as a whole and think what a beautiful fluid process that is.
Mhm.
And I think it's so easy for, you know, somebody comes in and say they don't want to work with you. It's easy in that moment to be like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm losing people," or I have so much work and I can't find the right person. I think one of the things I'm experiencing on a intense level, which I truly appreciate, is um if you set the intentions around what you're looking for and how you want things to go, it will get mimicked back to you. So when you ask, how did I go through the process and how did I get there? It almost was like somebody was holding my hand, is
Mhm.
the way I would describe it. I had Laura in my office reach out just saying, she wasn't happy where she was and she was wanting to find another place to work and was willing to come and help me. And this is somebody I knew and loved for a long time.
Yeah.
Without having had asked for the help, she was self-aware enough to realize that I was struggling and willing to step in and ask me for the help because I wouldn't have asked her,
Mm.
right? And so, that's like step one in the process. But as that evolved, it allowed me to almost, I want to say, let the people come to me. That sounds like I'm Jesus or
Sounds like I was
something.
gonna say
Yeah.
Moses or
Yeah, whatever.
something.
Was something biblical. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Is that I really, really find that when I set the intention that I need someone or I need something to work out and I release the tension around it, that it all does work out. And so we have a great team, great, amazing, amazing human beings who work collectively in our studio. Um, I could not ask for better humans to be surrounded by, but I'm also aware that they're reflecting what I'm putting in. So if I was sitting around yelling at them or doing this or, uh, they would be frustrated with me and then it wouldn't have this like fluid, beautiful atmosphere and it's not every day is rainbows and butterflies. It's definitely not.
Mhm.
Um, but I just overall, when you ask like how it's kind of evolved, I think it's been a very knock on wood, easy process.
Mm.
And I couldn't be more blessed when it comes to the help that I get with
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
So you've always been able to manifest very quickly. I mean, not quickly, but with with more ease than most people.
Yes. And I don't want to discredit myself, and maybe you can bleep this out or whatever, but I also recognize that I've been given, hmm, like, it's almost like I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I can manifest and it's all easy and it's all great.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I
No,
didn't mean like you're sitting there and doing nothing and things are coming to
no.
you. Sorry, yeah.
I feel like sometimes, I definitely don't feel like you said it that way. I guess I feel like sometimes when people are really, really, really struggling
Mm.
and they're hearing somebody be like, "Oh, it was just so fluid for me."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, that's nice. I wish I had that level of fluidity too. Like,
Yeah.
give me the dosage of whatever you're taking because I need that because like my world is imploding on itself." But I
Yeah.
almost say, while having massive breakdowns and crying and struggling and
Yes.
working my ass off and pulling all-nighters and, you know, not knowing if the invoices were going to cover my next month of pay, like
Mhm.
in doing all of those things, I almost had to let go of how I was going to get help to some degree. Like, yeah, I'm doing the baby steps, putting post out or whatever, but I had to trust in the universe to some degree because it was almost like there was too much going on.
Yeah.
So at what point do I take all of these problems and try to solve it versus taking, five and saying, I got to give some to you, universe, because I can't handle all of this. So it's not like I said, I'm just like sitting there sketching. Oh, hi, Laura. Thanks for joining me. would you like to sit down and draw with me too? Like, it's not.
Laura's like, no, I don't want to. I want to manage you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we don't got time to draw.
That's exactly Laura's personality.
But, so I say that in both experiences. And so, everything is a lot and there's a lot going on and you have a lot of things to manage. But it gives me peace knowing that if I set the intention that I want really great women around me, and I set that intention before starting Nunu Interior Design, I set that intention when I was looking for someone to work with, such as you, that I'm like, I just really want people that I respect, look up to, admire, because I felt like it was lacking. Like I was lacking somebody that I wanted to emulate. And so now I set that intention. I was very, very intentional about it. And now I'm like, my eyes are open and it's like more and more of these people are surrounding me. And it helped make that process of the 100 things super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As you were saying that, I don't know if you and I had this conversation before. I feel like you're the perfect blend of you're the perfect case study of how someone should manifest or look to the universe for help. Because the one type of person is, well, I'm struggling. So where is this help going to come from? So there is that level of attachment to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That in a more real world sense, we're not talking about energetics at all, but more in that real world sense is you've now narrowed your vision into what you can perceive, only what you can perceive as help.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, the universe or the God, whoever you believe in, is like, actually, we're going to give it to you from the left, but then you're only looking for something to the right.
Yeah.
Then of course you're not going to see that thing to the left.
Yeah.
And then the other side of this whole thing is what people you know, kind of pick on spirituality or manifestation is, yeah, they're just a bunch of lazy people who are sitting on their asses, like waiting for shit to happen to them.
Yeah.
That's not it either. Like you're the perfect middle of the blend of the two is I'm going to focus on what I can control in my business, in my own world. And I'm going to do my best to make certain things happen, which is in my control. And the rest of it will come as I do the work that I need to do that I have control over.
Well, I think I pick employees very specifically because they impact your everyday so immensely.
Yeah.
If you come in every day and somebody's miserable in the office, like it's like, oh, like I wouldn't want to be in an environment where somebody's not happy to be there, especially as I get older, where you start, I think most women will say this, you start to be like very particular about how you share your energy and who you give your energy to. So if I was coming in the office and somebody was miserable, so I feel like that is a very important aspect of the job, so much so that I think in my mind, like, I can't control who's going to submit a resume, that I need to expand my horizons when it comes to that and think that the universe is looking out for me in how that's going to unfold. Because something as simple as the fact that I leave my office door open every single day when I get to the office.
Yeah.
If there's, 20 other offices, I can guarantee nobody else, and rightfully so, there may be more private or whatever. I always leave my door open and it's always so that neighbors can say hi, stop in or whatever.
Yeah.
And one day it was the most adorable thing, but this dad was bringing his 18-year-old daughter around to see if she could internship at some places because she wasn't sure where she wanted to go to school. And she had mentioned interior design. Because my door was open, he walked in and so I ended up having her come by for a couple of shifts or whatever. It was nothing major, but I'm only saying like something as simple as wanting to be pleasant with my neighbors could be the thing that brings the best employee to me. I feel like I've established more employees through good relationships with other people who have then referred somebody to me in some way, shape, or form than I have putting a listing on Indeed.
Yeah.
So it's exactly like you said, you can't think about it very black and white where I need somebody, I put it out, somebody comes, you do 100 interviews, you're frustrated because none of them get it or whatever. Laura gets upset with me because I'm like, the right person will come. She's like, but we need the person yesterday. Stop with your bullshit. No. But I know that she would say the same thing, that it does always work out, and that, like I said, if it's such an important thing, so it is something that I have to have trust in. Whereas, like, getting a set of drawings out is a little bit more black and white. And I'm like, okay, drawings got to go out. Let's go.
Yeah.
No one's going to draw them for me, so I have to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And you can't make a person up out of thin air.
Right.
So they have to somehow find their way to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I know you mentioned recently that, you are finding more and more people as of late that are more aligned with the type of people that you're searching for. And I don't even know if I said this to you, is that I think it's because you're ready to receive at the level that you're receiving.
Yeah.
Is because you're shifting how you see yourself as well. And how I know for a fact how I see you is very different from how you see yourself. Because I see you as this person who's, and I'm very picky with people, and you know this.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you as this person who is so rare. I don't know, 8 billion people on Earth right now. You're probably like one of the 2 or 3, to be honest with you. So you're so rare to me because your level of integrity, discipline with all the work stuff, but also just your kindness. Like you said, you always keep your door open. That invites different kinds of energy into your world. But now you're at the point also is you've learned to filter. Because before, I think it was like, come one, come all.
Yeah.
Whereas now you're like, yes, there is a door, but you got to be able to squeeze through the door.
Yeah. We were just talking about that, where it's like, I would have said lead with kindness in all aspects previously, but you definitely start to realize that not everybody is that's the wrong word to say, not worth, deserving of your kindness, in the sense that it doesn't mean that they're deserving of less. It just means that I need to preserve myself for the people who are deserving of it.
Yeah.
And definitely you see that in, your personal relationships, where it's like, if I say, oh, I'm not going to be home tonight for dinner because a client is coming, that is directly affecting the person who is deserving of my energy and time. So
100%.
I'm definitely starting to be more, or consciously trying to be more aware. I don't always check all the boxes in that area, but practice makes perfect. And also practice builds confidence.
Yes.
Like, I would have never said right off the bat no to somebody, I'm not taking work right now, I can't. I would be like, okay, well, let's talk, and maybe, and then it would only lead to them being more frustrated because they've spent more time with me only for me to say no, but I just didn't know how to say no.
Yes, 100%.
Right? So it's so obvious, but it's just not so easy sometimes. So definitely getting better with that.
Yeah, and it definitely takes confidence and practice, because the first time you even say a word, you have to practice it a bunch of times. Did you learn French and English at the same time?
French first.
Okay. So I don't know if you remember the process of you learning English, because English is my second language.
I was going to say, you would know more than I would, in the sense that we were young.
So with English, I remember I didn't speak much until I think I was 14, 15. And I remember the word queen. I could not pronounce it for the life of me. And I probably couldn't pronounce it until I was like 20, I think. It always came out so weird. But even words, you have to say it so many times to the point where you don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Fair.
So something as simple as a sound versus this practice, where this part of you that you identified as a character trait of your own, it will take so many different repetitions to make it a different pattern. And in this world, modern world, everyone is so used to instant gratification. You can grab food, you can grab drugs, you can grab alcohol, phone, whatever it is readily available. And then one of the things that, consistently gets talked about is rewiring. And I've had potential clients come to me, they're like, just rewire me. I'm like, I don't do the rewiring. I guide you through the rewiring.
Yeah.
You have to do the rewiring yourself.
Yeah.
And that takes repetition, consistency. So, and that's exactly it. And you're saying, these people kind of came along the path, like Donnie and your, previous people with work, is I think they only came into your life because you were ready for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
For them to kind of guide you through that new process, that next phase type of thing. So yeah, essentially, you had to be ready. You had to put in the work to make everything happen.
Absolutely. And I think about how grateful I am that I had the time and space to do it, and that I was aware enough to want it.
Yeah.
Because I do think, if I think about myself in my 20s, there is a lot of people who are just following on that wave, it's just work, sleep, eat, work, sleep, eat, work, sleep, eat, or whatever. And in reality, that's what they want, that's whatever, society wants out of you. I won't say whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what they want. They just want you to shut up and do the same thing over again and not think too hard about it. And I'm like, I know that I'm very lucky and blessed to have had, people in my upbringing who taught me differently, subliminally, to some degree, that I wanted different, and that I was willing to take the baby steps to change all of that.
Yeah.
To try to change anyways, working towards.
Even I think till the end of life is always a work in progress.
Right. And I was going to say, you're going to forever want to be growing to some capacity, but at the same time, enjoying the moments in between. I think that that's where I was losing sight of stuff, is that there was but there was very minimal enjoyment in between.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, as I got older, it almost got more and more lost.
Yeah.
Like, my niece messaged me yesterday. She's like, we have to wear red to the Bruno Mars concert. And she's like, do you want me to FaceTime you? And I can show you what I have, and I can bring red stuff for you. And I have and I was like, just her words saying oh, we're going to FaceTime and pick out clothes together.
Yeah.
Flooded me with almost nostalgia of that being the most important thing in my day.
Yeah.
Of what are we wearing to this concert tonight?
Totally.
Oh my gosh, That I was like, how beautiful and innocent is that, to just be so happy about. And to be honest, I was tired because of work and just having a longer week this week. But I was able to also check myself, I almost want to say, in the sense that I could have walked in the room and said, you know what, I'm really tired. Yeah, pick whatever. We're going to go to the concert. Yeah. But I was like, it's so important to her. And these times with her are so minimal that I'm going to check my energy and go there with, try to match her energy or whatever, and go to this concert guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
And so it was nice, because I think that I got more out of the experience than I would have had I'd showed up saying, I'm too tired anyways. And yeah, let's go. It's okay. But I'm going to sit in the chair because I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
Which would have been my reality at some point.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. And we all choose, and people don't realize this is, and actually go back to what you were saying about cliches, and cliches are essentially things that are kind of oversaid. People have said it too many times, and it's just become this other thing that people just say. And I think the reason, I was actually thinking about this recently, is that the reason why people have said it so many times is because at some point, majority of the people have realized is the truth. That we
if you hear it a lot, should it not be true?
Exactly. But then it's become this thing, is oh, it's so cheesy for you to say that. But
resistance.
And also um, for lack of a better word, ignorance.
Yeah.
You haven't gone through the necessary experience or have felt enough pain to come to the realization that, oh, this is what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And you know, it's, and we've all had those moments where, and I find the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, this is what my mom was talking about. And I kept telling her to shut up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm like, is that not the kilter when you decide, like, you become
Yeah.
a full-blown adult, is when you start to realize all the things your parents said were true?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the
Like, I
ones that
made it to
aren't
the
true.
other side.
Now I've become my mother. And I think that's why people are
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I've become my mother. And I think there is certain things that our parents carry that are, you know, limiting beliefs, their own trauma and all that. But on the flip side, the good side is that the wisdom and the lessons they carry
Yeah.
and they continue to pass on. But then we were too young and naive, not ignorance. Naive is a
Mhm.
better word,
Mhm.
to have realized.
Questioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, do you mind talking about your accident?
Mhm. I don't mind. I think it's hilarious. No. Now.
I mean, not in the moment, I'm sure.
No, 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 not in the moment. So long story short, um, I back in October was riding my bike, got into a minor bike accident. And I say minor because in retrospect, I like walked home
But it required stitches.
and a lost tooth and stuff like that.
Yes.
So like it was, I say this because I'm not to diminish the accident, to say that it could have been significantly worse. It definitely could have. And so I definitely carry a lot of gratitude around the fact that it was as minimal as it was, considering how it could have been worse.
Mm.
Um, so got into a bike accident, stitches, teeth
She
broken.
has a fake tooth.
Yeah. It's my party trick. Um, all of the fun stuff or whatever. And I think the reason why Deanna's, or like you're asking me to bring it up, is just because of the impact it had on me emotionally and the evolution that I got, or like the involvement that I got from that experience. So got into an accident, and I was definitely the type of person prior to the accident who, you know, not that I wasn't empathetic to people who were struggling, but I feel like I would have felt that where there's a will, there's a way. And it's not that that's changed. I do think where there's a will, there's a way. Like, you know, if you set the intention on trying to like heal yourself, you can move in that direction and it could be beneficial. But I would have lacked empathy for people who were maybe stuck in the middle of that, where they were maybe going through it, but then didn't have the answers. And they were in that middle ground of like, what the hell's going on? All this stuff. So the point of the story is I got into this accident. My body bounced back. I was actually thinking the whole reason why I started doing personal training with you was for that moment. I was like, damn, this personal training stuff is really working out, because um I did feel like in the moment I was like, I'm going to be bedridden for weeks, you know, and then it's like, oh, I'm okay. And I didn't actually, and also just like strength training obviously like helps protect your bones and your muscles, whatever, all that stuff. So I feel like I physically bounced back, but mentally I did not. And that is a place that I had never been in before. I feel like I'm always somebody who's like super sensitive when it comes to, I don't want to say like thoughts, but like hyper aware of the thoughts that go through my mind. And I don't know, I came to this point where I couldn't get out of my head. And it was very interesting because everything I was doing, I thought I was going to die. Like, and I couldn't explain it. I didn't know why. Um, I was there. I mean, basically what happened is I didn't know about post-traumatic stress or how the body heals when it comes to your emotions after having gone through something. And so the biggest thing that I learned was that, and through a lot of help with you, just it always stuck with me, the comment that you said, like, imagine somebody kicking down the door when it comes to your nervous system. And then all of a sudden you're standing there, you want to pull it back and close it because you're like, okay, no, we don't like this.
Yeah.
Close back the door. But you had said, it doesn't actually close. It takes months for it to kind of, swing open, swing close. Maybe it opens a little bit. Maybe it swings all the way back. And you kind of imagine like a door flowing in the wind where you don't know where it's going to fluctuate, but it's not closed.
Yeah.
Right. That resonated so much with me because I could visually see what was happening. Because prior to that, I'm like, I don't understand why I can't just get up and go to work and be fine and not think about things or be stressed or handle the level of stress that I was handling prior to the accident. It just felt like a lot of pieces were falling. And then my response was to think that something was wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I will say a lot of thanks to you in the sense that there was 2 avenues that I could have taken. And the reason why I've gained a level of empathy is because I very visually saw that I could do one of 2 things. I could coax the feelings with items, things, drinks, whatever. It was interesting. I hate shopping. I hate shopping. I'd rather die than go shopping.
Yeah,
And
your partner loves it.
yeah, exactly. And yet all I wanted to do was go to the mall. And I recognized, I was like, wow, that is like I don't know, something trying to coax me, like go to the mall and buy yourself something and maybe you'll
Yeah.
feel better. That I had never had this urge to shop in my life. And I wasn't shopping, but I was like, wow, it's a very visible feeling that I'm feeling that I feel like, maybe that will help.
Mm.
And so, I also, had a doctor tell me, oh, take an anxiety pill. It's very similar to a glass of wine at night. It will just put you to bed. And I remember taking a glass of wine. I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, this is not good. This is not good.
You mean the pill?
No, I
Oh,
never
the
actually ended
wine.
up taking it. But I was thinking,
Okay.
you're right. Let me just have a glass of wine.
Right.
That will help me. Like, normally, like, a lot of, and to each their own. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes people say, I'm going to have a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's my nightcap.
Did you end up trying that pill? The lorazepam? Remember how it makes you more
Oh,
anxious?
yeah, one time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. I did. And I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember trying like having the wine previous to that because before even the pills, but just
Yeah.
thinking, you know, you have a glass of wine, sometimes it'll make you a little bit sleepy and you go to bed. I was wired through the night thinking like my heart was going to implode on itself and have a
Yeah.
heart attack. Anyways, and then yes, because didn't I call you? And I was home alone, I think.
Yeah, and then I think because they prescribed it so you could get on the flight,
Yeah.
without freaking out, or you can just fall
So
asleep.
I wanted to try before going on the
So good thing
plane.
you did that.
And I definitely thought I was going to die. But in reality, it's funny because I don't even think it affected me.
Yeah,
But I think I was just so in my head about it
totally.
that it did. Anyways, so um all that to say there was 2 paths. I could continue try to figure out things to coax it, or I could try to dive a little bit deeper in how to heal it.
Mhm.
And thanks to a lot of practices that you shared with me and did with me, I leaned a little bit more into like the healing process. And what are we? October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. I would have said 6 months because there's still moments for sure where I feel like almost like the vault has been opened where you experience it a little bit different now. Like you're a little bit more, like, oh, that's not my heart. Oh, what's that?
Mm,
So I'm still there where I kind of like experience things in my body a little bit more hyper aware,
yeah,
but I also try not to like lean into it too hard. But all in all, I'm very proud of myself for leaning into the healing process. I would say, like, I'm
yes.
happy that I chose that route, but I empathize with people who don't. And it allows me to better understand. It's, it's crazy. I just feel like somebody now can talk to me and I can experience them differently, having had gone through that I'm grateful, excited, happy that I did, because if it means that I can be a better friend, a better partner, a better aunt to somebody else, then it was all worth it for
Yeah.
sure.
Do you find that you see how you work and operate your business differently since the accident?
Yes, I think, being hyper self-aware, a few things. The level of love, I could get emotional. Um, the level of love and kindness that I got from the women who work for me, I say with me, sorry, work with me, was beyond what I expected. Um, so how has that changed my career? It made me realize that my energy carries like our energy in anything that we do. It definitely brought a level of realization of how much your energy carries so much weight around the people who matter to you or who surround you. And so it allows me to want to check myself every morning before I go in and say, like, these women deserve the best of me.
Yeah.
It's not like you're walking into a room of assholes and saying,
Mhm.
like, put a smile on your face because it's a
Yeah.
fine day today, like you're literally like, I feel much more genuine saying,
Yeah.
these ladies were so kind to me, and now I want to be giving that back to them. So I think in terms of like my everyday work life, it's affected me because of that. I think we were all very close prior, but for me personally, I think I've just maybe like I've shed a little bit of my hard surface layer a little bit more. Um, and I just appreciate like like I said, the kindness that they had. So I think that would be the biggest difference. And then second to that, it definitely made me reflect on the fact that like work is not the end all be all. And so I'm trying to intentionally make more space for life outside of work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And how's that working for you?
It's a work in progress. Definitely a work in progress. Um, but it gets easier with time.
Yeah,
Like I said,
definitely.
one action, sit and reflect on how the action actually turned out. I think that's the biggest thing. Because I think I could do something, and you taught me this, like you could do something, but then if you don't realize that everything worked out to be okay, even though you didn't do that one thing or didn't stay late or didn't, you know, put a gazillion hours into something, then reflecting after or at the end of the week and saying, you know what, this week also worked out fine. So it's still definitely a work in progress, but getting much better at it.
Takes repetition.
Hmm. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah. And it's yeah, it's I mean, I call it collecting evidence, right? Essentially, because with this bucket of things that you're so used to and feel safe doing, although it might be destructive to your health or your happiness,
Yeah.
but you've collected enough evidence for you to say, okay, at least it provides me validation or provides me safety
Yeah.
or provides me a sense of control. But in this bucket, we haven't really explored. So I don't have enough evidence to show that it will provide me those things that
Mhm.
this bucket provides me. So essentially, is you're just putting a little bit more into this one, a little bit more
Yeah.
attention. So eventually, now, this one still will have a little bit of weight, but eventually this one will outweigh the other one.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what rewiring is, right?
Exactly.
Is making different choices consistently. So there's more neuronal connection in terms of the physical changes there. What are three of your non negotiables when it comes to your happiness?
Three non-negotiables when it comes to my happiness.
Your happiness, your sanity,
Hmm.
or what makes you feel alive, feel that, what you said earlier is when you were working a lot, it felt like, you know, an angry dad is telling you to finish the food. Like that's what your brain was telling you versus your body is like, yeah, but I want to take a break or I don't want to eat anymore. Or I just want to go out and play. what are 3 things that, you do on a consistent basis that makes your brain and your body aligned? Feel, you know, this really feels really good to me.
Hmm. If I think about it on a like everyday level, it would be kindness as a whole. Because if I think about, living in Toronto, if you wake
Mhm.
up prior to 9 a.m. and you go walking in the streets, most people will say good morning to you. If you walk after 10 a.m., you get like stush faces and side eyes or whatever. If you were to walk around and be like, hello, hello, somebody would be like, ugh, what is wrong with that girl, right? So I'm only saying that like I really enjoy when I get on an elevator. It warms my heart if somebody says something to me. And I just started noticing that if it happened 1 in 20 times, when it did, I remembered because I
Mm,
was like, "Oh, that's so nice that that lady went out of their way and said hi to me." So when it's like a non-negotiable, be that person. Be that person that just, steps out of their comfort zone and says hi to somebody
yeah.
they don't know or that you do know. So I just think, and when I say kindness, it's not like me like bending my back and giving up whatever I'm doing to for somebody who's not deserving it. I mean, just overall kindness to people, because I find that like one little interaction could really kilter my day.
Right.
Like I said, somebody stopping by my office to just because the door is open, and it's just it definitely decompresses me when I capture like a nice hello or something from someone. So
Yeah.
that level of kindness I think is really important to me. Um, mm, I I'm struggling to say this because I feel like I'm realizing it more and more, but what I'm realizing more and more what I need personally and what I'm seeking is human connection.
Mm,
Maybe because I've been in so much of the anti-human connection of like what's the oxymoron of human connection? I don't know, loneliness, like,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Where maybe I'm like cocooning out of that like bubble that I've been living, but it's also making me realize the lack of human connection that maybe we're experiencing. And so I think it's like I don't want to say physical touch because it's not like I'm going around touching people,
That works too, just with consent.
right? But like I love getting home to a hug. I love, coming in the office and even if it just means touching one of the girls on the shoulder or whatever, like, hey, your boss is here.
Rub, rub.
Don't tell HR. Um, or even my niece last night was holding my hand at the concert and it made me so emotional that like I do recognize that I need human touch a lot more than I've been experiencing. So I think that that is something that I'm leaning into a lot more these days. And a third thing, tea.
You love your tea.
Love tea
You love
in
your
any way,
tea.
shape, or form. I need it.
Yeah,
It's definitely it soothes my soul. It makes me smile. I don't know. Like I just love a cup of tea.
yeah.
It's not even on a hot day. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'm aligned with all 3, and I definitely have gone through a phase where I was very
Mhm.
anti-people as well,
Mhm.
and then I think and you know this, I'm at the point where it's like, how do I find places and opportunities where I can find people that are aligned with the stage I'm at. And I know you're the same as I don't just want anybody.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that desperate.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
don't think I'll ever get to that
I'm like,
point.
you want to touch?
Yeah, if you want to touch, I want to be touched by somebody I want to be touched by.
Exactly.
Um it's it lights you up. And I
Yeah.
think the reason why I didn't want to be around people before was one, I didn't know who I was. Wasn't comfortable with
Yeah.
who I was. And two was I wasn't surrounding myself with the right people. So then there was that and isolation was always
Yeah.
easier to just, I'm just going to do what I would do so I don't have to deal with you and I don't
Yeah.
have to deal with the discomfort of what was going on inside of me.
Absolutely.
And now I love that you're at the phase where, you know, you are coming out of the shell and the fact that, I want you to record more content and you're like, yeah, let's do it. Whereas even a few months ago, you're like, no, I don't want to do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So it's just the phase and when you're ready to kind of step into that next phase um of what you're ready for, what you're ready to deal with. And I don't want to say um suffer or work or things that have negative connotations to it, but everything's work. If you're going to that next phase, you're starting from grade 1.
Yeah.
So grade 1 is hard, but then by the end of grade 1, you're like, "Oh, this is easy."
Yeah.
You get into grade 2, you're like, "Oh, this is so hard." But then at the end, you're like, "This is too easy. Give me grade
More.
3."
Yeah.
So, we all go through those things, and a lot of the times we don't know what that next level is. And I truly believe, and the more things I see, the more I experience, I listen to, is I think this whole human experience thing is it's just a one giant lesson.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what that next unit is. Because can you imagine if you go to school, you're like, oh, I'm in grade 1, but I know what grade 12 is about. Why are you going to school? You
Yeah.
might as well just go to university.
Yeah. It's a process. It's a
Exactly.
journey. Yeah.
That's the whole point, is you don't know what that next thing is. Even if you know what that next thing is, you need to do some prerequisites to understand what it requires to do that work. Because every single stage sex some Freudian
Getting
slips
touch. Yeah.
right there. Every single stage sets you up for that next one, right?
Well, sometimes I think if that was a baby accident
Yeah.
and it took me 6 months to get out of it, I literally think sometimes I'm like, "Okay, thank God there was a small accident and I realized all of these things
Yeah.
so that if something bigger or more traumatic were to happen to me, I now have this little roster of tools that worked really well for me for this little thing,"
Exactly.
you know? And I agree with you in the sense that it's like it's part of the process, it's building blocks towards something bigger,
Totally.
and you don't know what the end result is gonna be, but you also have to be careful about what the building blocks like, which ones you're choosing,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for having this. I know for having this conversation. I know your day is so busy, so I appreciate you, and
Anything
I
for you.
I love you so much.
I love you too, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.